If I can please ask you to stay behind for a couple of minutes. We have very special guest with us today. MP Genuis Garnett is a good friend of our community, and this is not the first time for him to be with us here. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure for me to be with you today for a few minutes. It was wonderful for me to be here to be able to hear your sermon, because one of the foundational things for our party, for conservatives, is a belief in religious freedom and pluralism. And that's not just the visible aspects, but it's also people being able to believe and live out the differences in terms of their convictions, and recognizing that freedom of religion, freedom of conscience, is actually the first freedom. It's the highest freedom, because we are beings created in the image of God with a spiritual nature that we need to be able to have the freedom to follow. And our Constitution recognizes the rights to freedom of conscience and freedom of religion. So it is very good for us to hear that message proclaimed and to understand your commitment to speaking that out. We are here in the Greater Toronto area this week speaking about human rights issues primarily, the discussion of domestic human rights as well as international human rights. My colleague Philip Lawrence has a private member's bill aimed at supporting the advancement of international human rights. We would welcome your support on that, and we've appreciated being here, listening and learning from the Muslim community about some different priorities around the situation in the economy, around religious freedom, and around foreign policy issues and human rights issues. So thank you for this opportunity. I'll hand it over to Philip, who will share a bit more about his private member's bill, Bill C-281.
Thank you, and salam. It's a privilege and honor to be here. Thank you very much. And so my private member's bill, 281, it reflects the reality of the world and the fact that, unlike in Canada, as you mentioned, Canada, we have the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which guarantees our religious and our freedom of conscience. Around the world, unfortunately, that's not always the case. We know that there are thousands, if not millions, of Muslims who are being held simply for holding their beliefs. This private member's bill seeks to give Parliament additional powers to, one, hold those individuals accountable who are responsible for the most atrocious human rights violations, the violations of freedom of religions, and it also seeks to help individuals who are held for their beliefs, for simply being, in this case, a Muslim, and it seeks to raise awareness and so that you will have ability to put pressure on the Canadian government if they're not doing enough to help Muslims around the world who are being held against their will simply because of their religious beliefs. And we would really appreciate your support. I too was very honored to hear your message. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to have you here. And if you guys have any questions, you got Phil and you got our dear friend Garnett here, so you can please mingle with the crowd. Thank you very much for coming. Jazakumullah khair.